You're watching News Now on iBrandTV Lagos. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the reconstitution of the governing board of the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) following the expiration of the tenure of the former board. In a statement signed by Segun Adeyemi, Special Assistant to the President Media, through the Office of the Minister of Information and Culture, which was issued in Abuja on Wednesday, Alhaji Lai Mohammed said the board has appointed Honorable Bashir Omolaja Bolarinwa as the new chairman. Other members who were appointed to represent various interests as stipulated by the NBC Act include Wada Asab Ibrahim, Inyayin Chukwu Azubike Dike, Adeshola Oyilola Ndo, and Olaniyan Olatunji Badmus. According to the letter issued, the board has a 3-year tenure. Now, President of the UN General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, has attributed the increase in violence against women in politics to moral and ethical failure in society. Shahid said this at an event organized by his office on the sideline of the ongoing Commission on the Status of Women in New York. Shahid said, and I quote, "As a former parliamentarian and a lifelong politician, violence against women in politics is an issue dear to my heart. It is a moral and ethical failure on us as a society," end of quote. On her part, Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed said violence against women in politics violated human rights to undermine governance. The UN Deputy Chief noted that concrete action is needed to address violence against women and girls. The House of Representatives Public Accounts Committee, PAC, on Wednesday accused the Nigerian National Petroleum Company (NNPC) Limited of shielding its subsidiaries from honoring several Parliament's summons extended to them over audit queries raised against them running to several trillions of naira over the years. The chairman of the committee, Honorable Busayo Oluwaleoke, Osun PDP, disclosed this when the management of the NNPC, led by its Chief Financial Officer CFO, Malam Umar Ajia, who represented the Group Managing Director GMD, Mele Kyari, appeared before the committee on numerous queries raised against the agency. Honorable Oke expressed displeasure over the failure of the NNPC and its subsidiaries to honor all the invitations that were extended to them on the various audit queries from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, which bordered on gross violation of financial regulations and non-rendition of financial accounts as and when due. He said that consequently, the committee had resolved to extract the entire queries from the audit reports and publish them in the national dailies for the general public, as well as the presidency, to see how the people saddled with the responsibility of running the agencies are running them. Honorable Oke, who declared that the Parliament of the 9th Assembly would no longer tolerate such lukewarm attitudes from the heads of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, or the federal government anymore in the overall interests of the nation. The war against corruption is set to get a big push in Lagos State with the appointment of chairman for the Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who signed the law setting up the commission in April 2021, has appointed Justice Mojisola A. Olatoregun, retired, as chairman. The appointment is pursuant to the power vested in Mr. Governor under Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Lagos State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Law 2021. Honorable Justice Olatoregun retired as Administrative Judge of the Federal High Court Lagos Division after a tour of service in other divisions of the Federal High Court across the Federation. She has been trained in international fraud and terrorism, cybercrime, and electronic evidence banking fraud, mediation, and other courses. She is expected to bring her huge wealth of experience to bear on the job. Now, the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, on Tuesday kicked against the proposal to provide not less than 12% of Nigeria's Maritime Administration and Safety Agency's NIMASA revenue for the Nigerian Maritime University, Okerin Koko, Delta State. The minister made his position known during a public hearing on 3 bills relating to the maritime industry organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Maritime Safety, Education and Administration. Represented by the Director of Legal Services, Pius Ote, Amechi described the proposal as excessive as it does not adequately take cognizance of the diverse responsibilities of NIMASA in challenging fiscal environment. He said that the proposal in one of the bills to amend the NIMASA Act 2007 to strengthen the institution appears to not recognize the fact that as a public institution regulated by the Nigerian Universities Commission and Federal Ministry of Education, the institution would equally be entitled to fund publicly appropriated by the National Assembly on a yearly basis. He, however, said the ministry would continue to support the university as it recognizes the crucial role the institution plays in developing local capacity within the maritime sector. Now, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki has inaugurated a 15-man business enabling environment task team charged with the responsibility of helping the government to identify and profile solutions to bottlenecks to business growth and to ensure conducive environment for businesses in the state. A statement issued by the Special Assistant Media to the Governor, Crusoe Osagie, is that the team headed by Edo State Commissioner for Finance, Joseph Oboigbe, was inaugurated by Obaseki at Government House, Benin City. Speaking at the inauguration, the governor said, quote, "This is a team that has been set up to prepare the state for a baseline survey on the ease of doing business in Nigeria, as was decided by the Nigeria Economic Council. As you're aware, states today are typically funded from the Federation account." Justifying the need for the team, he said that for any state to survive, it must have enough businesses that could pay taxes from which it could derive revenues. He also said it had become imperative to create an environment where businesses would thrive. Now, the impact of the ongoing impasse between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the federal government has been of concern to many stakeholders, including parents and students. On Monday, ASU extended its ongoing industrial action by another 2 months, that is 8 weeks, to afford the government more time to address all of its demands. ASU also accused the government of displaying an indifferent attitude toward its demands. To look at the impact of this development on the education sector, I'm joined here in the studio by Dr. Peter Ogundoro. He is an international researcher and educationist. He is the leader, Nigerian Teachers Online Community of 320,000 members. Dr. Ogundoro, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, there has been this on and off strike, government, the ASU, demanding, placing their demands, and federal government either promising and failing or claiming they have fulfilled all the promises. Now, I wouldn't know, which way do we go? Who do we believe here? ASU says the government has not lived up to its expectation, with regard to their agreement. And the federal government said it has satisfied all the expectations. Who is saying the truth here?
Yeah, we all know who is not saying the truth. Our government and officials need to become more responsible, forthright, and transparent. They have been making promises to university lecturers for a very long time, for many years now. They have signed papers and promised to provide enabling environment for them to do their jobs, and also they have owed them allowances for many years, which they have not been able to liquidate completely. And so it's very unfortunate for us to hear that they are claiming to have done the things they have not done. There's no way lecturers will be telling you they have not received money that they have received. That's an open secret. The truth we need to face is that Nigeria is a poor country, and the current system in place where federal universities and state universities, especially federal universities, are run essentially with only government money. It's not sustainable. We don't have the kind of money it takes to sustain universities that will be globally competitive. Our children who are attending federal universities don't pay significant amount of money that will be able to assist the government to be able to provide the kind of education all of us desire. But we have been shying away from that idea, from that fact. But it's very unfortunate that we are behaving like the ostrich. We, not only the government, we as parents and even as university lecturers must stop resisting the idea that the people who benefit from university education have got to find a way to contribute to funding it. That's the only way forward. Even in the advanced societies where, you can say they are rich people. If you go to Britain, the average child pays about £9,000 per session. In the UK, the average child pays, in the average university, pays as much as $20,000 per session. Yes, we can argue to the effect that, yes, they lend them money. We don't lend money to children here. But we can find a way to move most of the money we're using to run the university system into a bank from which children can borrow money and go to school. And then when they graduate, they pay back that money so we can use it to train the next generation of students. But nobody is thinking along that line. All we believe here is that there's oil money. How much is the oil money? It's a very poor country.
What you're saying right now, great idea,
yeah.
But it's easier said than done, knowing the nature of Nigerians. They will borrow. The money will be lent to them, but at the end of the day, they don't pay back.
Yeah,
so what happens in such a situation?
Yeah, the reason why that happens is because you haven't got a system, and that's why those who have showed interest in moving Nigeria forward have always argued in favor of systems which we have not invested in. We're so much into using EFCC, using police to drag people about. You can't move Nigeria forward but merely by harassing people because you haven't got a system in place. When you put a system in place, you no longer need to police the system, with human beings. You will use technology to police the system, and that's where other countries are, and things are working for them. So if you put a system in place, have the right database, which we haven't been able to work out very well, and then also pay people well. One of the reasons why there's so much corruption and stealing in our country is because the people who do sensitive jobs are not paid well. You pay a policeman 50,000 naira and you ask him to go and chase somebody who has stolen $1 billion. The person who has stolen $1 billion will give him only 1% of that money and he lets him go. So if you want me to do an awesome job, you have got to recognize that the awesome job I'm doing is truly awesome. Pay me well and then I will do it.
You deliver.
And deliver and demonstrate patriotism in everything that I do. But it's not a good idea that you're asking people doing very important jobs, to take home peanuts. We do it all over the place. Teachers are paid peanuts, policemen are paid peanuts, media people are paid peanuts, and you're expecting all of these people to, give you the quality of service that people in the advanced societies, deliver. And when what we are paying our people is not up to 20% of what people in the advanced societies are receiving. You are not going to get quality service, and so we'll continue to, move about in circles.
But this is not peculiar to the education sector. You can agree with me.
Yeah, but the education sector is a very critical sector. You don't produce a professor in 20 years, really. I tell you that. I have a PhD in education. I have trained in several other areas. Anybody who has earned a PhD in any field will tell you that it's not a job that just anybody can do. So when a lecturer has invested over 30 years of his life in the education system, moving from primary school to secondary school to university at different levels and getting a PhD, several other countries are looking for these people that we are toying with in Nigeria. And the immediate consequence of what is going on really is that brain drain will continue to remain a problem with us. So these lecturers, by the time you keep them at home for another 2 months, they are not just going to sit down and be waiting for you to call them back. Many of them are actively searching for opportunities in the advanced societies, and many universities abroad are happy to welcome those who are truly, people who can defend their certificates, and that's very unfortunate for us, really.
Now, the devastating effects strike has on our education sector can only be imagined. You'll agree with me.
I do.
Is there an alternative way ASU can express its grievance besides going on strike?
ASU members have been trained to behave this way over the years. If you keep issuing press statements and granting press interviews, the governments across this country don't respond to press statements. They don't respond to press interviews. They don't even watch television. They have got no time for that. They are busy holding meetings, nocturnal meetings on how to win the next election. So they don't even this conversation we're having now, they don't pay attention to it. So it's only when you shut down the system that they wake up, because parents, begin to complain and children threaten to shut down the system. So we have trained us to recognize that this is the only language that the government understands. And so they are just under obligation, if they have to feed their family, to use it from time to time. So the idea of thinking about alternative means of getting government's attention, in the Nigerian circumstance, we haven't seen any evidence that supports that that's a possibility. It's not realistic to think that way. But it's very unfortunate for us. We must find a way to get our people to recognize that education is the bedrock of development, and until you fix it, all other problems will continue to fester. But I must let you know that a major reason why we have continued to have these problems is just the fact that the people who run Nigeria are training all their children abroad. You can't, they don't wear the shoes, and so they don't know where the shoe pinches. So if you shut down the system for the next 1 year, their own immediate family members are not bearing the brunt. They are not suffering the consequences. Their children are studying in the best of countries, in Canada, in America, and in the United Kingdom. And they're getting the best education in those places. Unfortunately for us, the money that kills these children in those places are money they have taken from the public coffers.
Which is very true.
Then the children who are supposed to be taken care of, through the public purse are just languishing. They become the grass that continue to suffer when these two elephants are fighting. As a researcher in the industry, I can tell you this authoritatively: the money we use to take care of just about 20,000 children of elites in this country, in America and Britain, is more than the total amount of money you budget annually to take care of over 50 million children who are in the Nigerian school system.
Wow.
Is that terrible, and is very unfortunate for us. And this is money we are wasting, we're taking to other countries. Whereas we can fix our education system and make Nigeria a net exporter of educational services. People like us are happy and willing to make those contributions, but nobody wants to talk to you. Probably because you're a fellow Nigerian. These are things we have done for other countries, but your country is a place where, the people who run very sensitive public, agencies are not happy to see that improvements, can happen in those places, because the moment you remove the loopholes that make them put money in their private pockets that they do not deserve, then they have started losing, and that's why they will continue to ensure that this rot remains. And that's, really something we want to leave in the hands of people like you who talk with microphones.
All right. Now, see, ASU has threatened, and in fact, it has made its threats, right? That it's going to talk about the extension or further extension of the strike by 2 months. What happens in a situation where, at the expiration of these 2 months, the federal government still stands its ground?
The federal government cannot stand its ground, because the ground on which it's standing is very shaky. If they continue, the children are going to shut down this country. It will be very unfortunate for them to wait for even the 2 months to expire. I'm assuming that it won't take more than a month before they get, ASU to the round table, conference table, and talk things through, because this is no good for us. It's very damaging of our image. It's very destructive to our reputation as a country. It suggests that we are, very backward in our thinking. It suggests that we have not realized how indispensable education is for national development. So I'm very hopeful that it won't take up to 2 months before the government wakes up to its responsibility. But we must go back to where I started from in this conversation. And Nigeria is a poor country. The federal government and the state governments lack the financial capacity at this present time because of the foolishness that has happened in the public sector over the years. We haven't run our country well. We have not been efficient in the way we have managed our resources. So as we speak now, we are owing so much money. Money we are borrowing from China, money we are borrowing from France, all over the world. So because we are, paying and liquidating those debts, we don't have enough to be able to look inwards and handle critical matters in our country. So we might have to get into dialogue with parents and convince them to start paying school fees, which can contribute to making sure that the public education system works. Yeah, and this is doable. It's not beyond us.
When two elephants fight, the grasses suffer. And that's the case here, where you have the families, thinking of how to make money and take care of the family. And then the students are back home, roaming the streets, They are not like sheep without shepherd. That's not the best way to go. What's your advice to?
Yeah. To parents, they have to get more creative and dynamic in their thinking. The truth of the matter is that even if these children stay in the university system, on a continuous basis, the education they are getting is still not cutting-edge education. They are not. Our universities are not globally competitive. What you learn in a place like in the United Kingdom in only 2 weeks overwhelms, what you spend 4 years to try to learn in the Nigerian school system, in Nigerian universities. I still don't get that. Overall, a good number of secondary schools are doing significantly better, especially those run by private sector operators, are doing significantly better in terms of making their children globally competitive compared to what you can get from the Nigerian university system. So my suggestion would be that parents and their children who are the victims in this matter should go unconventional and recognize that they can actually acquire as much as possible without having to wait for the system. What you learn on the internet these days through massive open online courses will give you much better skills than universities can provide you anywhere.
Quite massively.
That's the truth of the matter. YouTube videos are there, Future Learn is there, EDX is there, Coursera is there, so many of them. So what universities in Nigeria try to give you in 4 years, you can actually learn in only 3 months. So I actually see this as a blessing in disguise. If it doesn't happen, Nigerian children and their parents will not wake up and begin to think in terms of how to acquire skills, looking in the direction of the internet that will make them globally competitive. What we're doing in Nigerian university system is not education. We're just going through, schooling that is not putting skills and knowledge into the young people who are supposed to be benefiting from the system. So the time for us to recognize that there is a serious rot in the system has come, and maybe this is a blessing in disguise.
Thank you so much. I've been talking with Dr. Peter Ogudoro, an educational researcher and leader, Nigerian teachers online community of 320,000 members. Thanks very much for your thoughts.
It's my pleasure.
You're still watching News Now on iBrandTV Lagos. We take a commercial break now and come back with more stories. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited, professional dry cleaners, best in dry cleaning and laundry services, and meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah, for clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah, Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash,
quick delivery.
You're watching News Now on iBrandTV Lagos. Time for entertainment news.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum. Nigerian music star Davido has lamented the huge amount of money it took him to clear his new Lamborghini. The music star made this known via his Twitter page on Tuesday, March 15, 2022. He also advised Nigerians to pray for the country. When asked by a fan what he intends to do about the shipment of his other exotic car, the singer gave a hilarious response. The music star recently splashed over 100 million naira on the Mercedes Maybach. The new car came hours after he performed at his sold-out concert at the O2 Arena. The new set of wheels will join an extensive garage of expensive cars, which includes several models of Rolls-Royce, Lamborghini Urus, Lamborghini Aventador, which cost him over 300 million naira. Away from that, Amazon on Tuesday gained unconditional EU antitrust approval for its proposed $8.5 billion acquisition of U.S. movie studio MGM to help it to compete with streaming rivals Netflix and Disney+. The European Commission said the deal would not pose competition concerns in Europe, confirming a Reuters story on March 9th. The UE competition enforcer said it had looked into overlaps between the world's largest online retailer and MGM in audiovisual content and found that the combined market shares are low and that they have strong rivals. The addition of MGM's content into Amazon's Prime Video offer would not have a significant impact on Amazon's position as provider of marketplace services, the Commission said. Amazon said it was pleased with the EU clearance as MGM has the rights to James Bond, one of the most lucrative franchises in film history, having earned nearly $7 billion at the box office globally. And that wraps it up on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum.
Coming up next, sport news.
On Sports Business at this hour, Barcelona and audio streaming platform Spotify have agreed to a long-term sponsorship deal reportedly worth $306 million. As part of the deal, Spotify will become the main sponsor of the La Liga club and will see its branding appear on the front of both the men's and women's team shirts and training kits from the 2022 to 2023 season through the next 4 seasons. Barcelona will also rebrand its historic Camp Nou stadium to Spotify Camp Nou. The deal, which has been approved and signed by Barcelona's board of directors, will need to be ratified at the Barcelona Members' Assembly, which will take place in April. Spotify will replace e-commerce company Rakuten, which paid $60 million for 4 seasons. Rakuten reportedly paid another $32 million to extend its contract for an additional year. Barcelona will leverage the deal to help alleviate financial woes and improve the club's spending power as it enters the next transfer window, $157 million over its spending limit. In March 2021, Barcelona was technically bankrupt, and 3 months later, the club borrowed $605 million from Goldman Sachs. In October 2021, Barcelona reported a $1.57 billion debt. The debt did not stop members of the club from voting to renovate the 64-year-old Camp Nou stadium with up to $1.69 billion in funding last December. And still talking sports business at this hour, the prize money for the Women's FA Cup is to increase to £3 million per year from next season, the Football Association has announced. The figure goes up from around £400,000, with details of how it is to be allocated across the competition yet to be confirmed. The FA has said that a disproportionate amount of this new fund will be invested into the early rounds of the competition. It has also announced that in January, a significant increase in prize money from next season had been agreed amid criticism of the disparity between the current figures and those of the men's competition. The current prize money for winning the Women's FA Cup is £25,000, with £15,000 going to the runner-up, while in the men's competition, the overall fund is £16 million, with the winners going on with £1.8 million and the runner-up going on with £900,000. And that's it on Sports Business. I'm Samson Oloyede.
And with those sports stories, we'll wrap up the news on iBrandTV Lagos. Thanks very much for watching. I am Michael Nath.